Now, what's the best way to make sure that nobody understands what you're talking about? It's to employ the use of gobbledygook or jargon or excessive, complicated sentences. Lawyers do it all the time. It's part of the trade. Bankers do it. Quantitative easing, for example. What does that mean?
Pretend money.
No, this is not pretend money. This is real currency we're creating.
But aren't you just printing it off? I mean, these are photocopies, aren't they?
Excuse me. Dave, this is not going to work. Because I've just explained it to a bloke and he saw through it straight away.
We've printed about 200 billion, but the government doesn't want anybody to know that we're just creating money out of thin air. So we have a name for it, quantitative easing, because nobody, apart from central bankers and economists, will understand what it means. If you're in real estate, you might not call it a crack den, but a renovator's delight. If you're in the business of consultancy, you call it an independent expert's report. It's actually cash for comment, so you call it exactly the opposite of what it actually is. The whole world was brought to a standstill, the entire world economy almost completely wrecked until the mother of all bailouts in 2008. What was the cause?
Collateralized debt obligation.
CDOs and synthetic collateralized debt obligations.
Synthetic CDOs.
Synthetic.
That is fucking crazy.
Nobody knew what they were, except the Wall Street bankers who made them, almost blew up the world, and then got compensated when the government started printing money to fix the problem they created. Jargon, gobbledygook, is one of the most powerful tools in the armoury of the professional. Now, there's a big negotiation going on at the moment. The Australia-UK Free Trade Agreement. Now, Australia signs a lot of free trade agreements. We're known globally in trade circles as the Free Trade Taliban.
We have become known in the halls of international trade as a free trade Taliban. It's an insult delivered while our backs are turned by countries that see us for mugs.
Now, somewhere buried in the entrails of this free trade agreement, and the UK Trade Minister gave this away the other day, is what they call ISDS. Gobbledygook. ISDS stands for Investor State Dispute Settlements. They are provisions, they are clauses in free trade agreements which allow large corporations to sue governments if they enact policies which don't suit them. In Egypt, for example, there was a lawsuit by one of the drug companies against the Egyptian government when the Egyptian government legislated to lift the minimum wage. Of course, the minimum wage in Egypt isn't very much. Pulling the Egyptians out of poverty was deemed grounds, being a change of government legislation, so the Egyptian government was sued. We've seen it in Papua New Guinea. We've seen the celebrated case in Australian corporate history, of course, is the tobacco giant Philip Morris, which sued Australia under the ISDS provisions of a free trade agreement for its plain packaging. That dragged on for 6 or 7 years in a court in Hong Kong, cost the taxpayer about $24 million. We didn't recover it, even though we won the case. What these ISDS clauses do is further cement the power of corporations over democratically elected governments. People elected government, they expect changes to the laws in their favour, laws for the people, but the new government that's elected, the politicians may go, well, we can't enact those legislative changes, we can't make these laws because we'll get sued if we do, because there's a little clause written by some lobbyists in a free trade agreement somewhere whereby we can be sued and have to transfer more wealth to the corporation for profits foregone.
Oh, we are gonna sue you! You are so sued!
If you ask your friends and family this evening, what do you think about ISDS? You're very unlikely to get an answer. And that's the way the corporate lobbyists want it. So the free trade agreements generally have tariff reductions and free trade initiatives in them. But they also have anti-free trade protectionist measures like ISDS. So we hear a lot about two countries coming together to work together. But really, it's about a bunch of very large multinational corporations coming together to fix the game, to lock in their future profits at the expense of ordinary citizens and taxpayers. Under the name of free trade, Comment below with your favourite industry jargon or corporate gibberish.